What up, everybody? Today I'm going to be talking about the Tango 2. This is the Pro version. As you can see, it has the foldy gimbals. So I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of this radio. It's a great radio. I guess I'll start with the pros. So the folding gimbals are super awesome. Definitely make sure I actually put a little bit of Loctite on mine because I found they were the stick ends would come loose while I was flying, so I put a little Loctite on there. The buttons are awesome. I like that there's nothing to actually break off. Yeah, it's super well put together. It feels very solid. You have two temporaries on the back, two 3 positions, and then two dual position switches on there. There's a roller with also your select button there, power buttons here. You can have your headphones in there. It charges with a USB-C. You have your exit menu and page buttons. It's all Freedom TX, so it's pretty easy to figure out the menu. Yeah, very durable. The signal was amazing. I actually have some footage at the end of this vlog I'll be showing of me doing a little stick cam with some DVR, me flying around in the park. Yeah, great radio, great signal. I just had a few little complaints about it. I'll get into the cons a little later on. But I'm actually not using this radio anymore. I used it for, I think, two or 3 months. I had one quad set up on it, and I was trying to get used to it, It felt okay, but because it's too small of a radio for my big hands, and there was nothing for me to rest the radio on my belly. So it was very close to me when I was flying. I didn't like how close it was to me. I also, for those of you who've been watching my videos for a long time, I run my lanyard fully extended. Like my radio's down by my junk. It just feels better to control things down by my junk, I guess. But yeah, so it feels weird to have it like position it like that. I guess it felt a little bit closer up high, but I don't really like to fly like that. Yeah, I never really flew Crossfire, so I did hit my dead bands a couple times, testing out the long range. But I'm totally used to that now. I've been messing around with Crossfire for quite a while now, and I'm never going back, basically. Crossfire for the win. There was a couple other little complaints about this radio. The screen, I'm not really a fan of this little screen. So you don't notice it in all the menus, but some menus, the screen just isn't big enough and stuff will run off the side of the menu. So for example, if you have a long model name, or if you're setting it up to the Wi-Fi through the radio, you just can't. So you'll get to like halfway through your Wi-Fi password, and then it doesn't scroll over. You just can't see. There's no way of putting in your entire Wi-Fi code through just the radio. So I don't even know why that's an option, to be completely honest. It should just be only through TBS agent, which is what I ended up using. So yeah, that I thought was very strange. Why put a little tiny screen in this thing? Also, one of my complaints was this very cheap antenna on the top. I'm not really a fan of it. I see, like, yeah, it's a stand or whatever, but I wouldn't trust that. If you put something down on that, it's just gonna snap the antenna right off. So now they actually do have an SMA adapter. I would just be getting rid of this and putting an SMA adapter on it personally. Plus I like to switch antennas. What else? Oh, having to buy the lanyard hanger separately, I don't like that either. Yeah, not a huge fan of having to buy a lanyard attachment separately. What else? Yeah, the gimbals did end up coming loose a few times on me while I was flying, so I ended up putting some Loctite on there. What else? One other little complaint is you actually have to pull the radio apart to adjust your gimbals. So personally, what I would have liked to see is if you could just take off these rubber pads on the back, and maybe there was some screws to adjust your gimbals right underneath the pads, these grips here, if I can get them off. So yeah, it would be kind of cool to have some holes there so you could adjust your gimbals. I don't know. Some radios have it. I think it's a pretty good idea, especially when you're buying something that's this high-tech and awesome with all the features and stuff that they're coming out with it and all the customizable options. That's a pretty simple thing. So people don't want to have to take their radios apart, especially not someone first getting into the hobby. And I feel like that is what the Tango 2 was actually geared towards, is people getting into the hobby. Because people who've been in the hobby for a long time, they might already be running the full-size Crossfire, and they're not going to downgrade to this. Now there's mods, but when I first got this, there was no, you had to actually take this thing apart to mod it to get 500 milliwatts out of it. Now there's a mod to put the full-size Crossfire on it, which is cool. But yeah, I just wish it was a little bit more modular and a little bit more beginner pilot user friendly. It's very easy to figure out. You can figure it out. There's just a few little things that I didn't really like. Gimbals feel great. Everything feels great. But other than my few little complaints, that's pretty much it. Also, the multi-bind is very weird. Unless I would only recommend binding through TBS Agent. I've tried doing the binding just through the radio and pressing the button on the RX. And pretty much any time I have to switch drones, I have to rebind it. I heard there was a problem with the SD chip inside. I haven't switched the SD chip. But it seems like when you bind through TBS Agent, it actually stays bound. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a great radio. It's too small for me. Personally, I would have totally loved to stick with this radio. I love all the new features coming out for it, but it's just too tiny for my big hands. I don't know, I feel like when I'm flying for a long time, my hands started to cramp up. I know there's big bumpers for it and everything, but honestly, it just felt better to go back to my original radio, which I'm going to pull out right now. So, yes, I've always been using my original X9D Plus Taranis. This is the one that I've been flying since the day I started flying. This is my first radio, and it's still the radio I use every day. I ended up getting the TBS Micro TX in there. I like that I can switch antennas because I have Immortal T's. I have this really cool shapeshifter antenna from Video Aerial Systems. So it has a long range mode, which is a directional, or an omnidirectional, which is actually the diamond antenna on top. So I like being able to switch antennas. It's good for testing. It's good for like just messing around and experimenting. So yeah, I'm on the Micro TX now, and I prefer this just because when you fly the same radio for 3 years, it is very hard to get used to something that is so much different. It is so much different. Like, my radio weighs like 3 times what this radio weighs. I have the big adrenaline battery in there. The power, the Micro TX doesn't seem to use much more power. But yeah, I've gone back to my original radio and the Micro TX. So obviously I love Crossfire. The zero latency is probably my favorite part of it. I love being able to go out 600 meters and be able to do a snap roll without the delay and everything, so yeah. But yeah, that is my my quick review of the Tango 2, pros and cons. But yeah, it's a great radio. If you want to get into the hobby and you want to start off on Crossfire, I would definitely recommend this radio. If you have smaller hands and you feel like your radio's too big, like if you're flying a QX7 or an X90 Plus or a Spectrum remote or Futaba or whatever you're flying, if you feel like your radio is a bit too clunky and big, go for this. That is one thing I will actually miss about having this in my bag, is I had a lot of room in my bag for extra batteries and other stuff, because this big old thing wasn't taking up all the space. But I prefer this big old thing, so I went back to it. So yeah, there's the Tango 2, everyone. I hope you enjoyed my review. I didn't really do any setup or anything, so if you have any questions on TBS Agent or setup, or any other questions that you think I might have missed, please just leave a comment down below or go through the comments, because someone might have already asked me and I might have already answered them. So yeah, check it, hit subscribe, share this video, and check out down below my Patreon, my Teespring. You can get yourself a discount on some lipos and all kinds of other stuff. But yeah. Also, I highly recommend you update all of your Crossfire Nanos, your RXs, your Tango 2, your Fusion, everything that you have that's TBS, update it, always update it. They're always coming out with new stuff, so stay on top of that. You don't know what you could be missing out on. So yeah, number one thing, when you get a Tango 2 or anything else TBS, update it right away so you don't miss out on any of the cool stuff they have. So yeah, definitely check that out. Thanks TBS, and thanks all of you for watching my videos and supporting my channel. As always, I really appreciate it, and I hope we can spend more time together. So yeah, TBS Tango 2. There's my pros and cons. Thanks for watching. Again, peace.
Alright, so flying my Stingy Forged Carbon, X-Hover Cinematics, Radix Li, TBS Unify Pro HV, Crossfire, Tango 2, and a burnt ass hand. So let's rip it. I'm still getting used to this radio, so I might just take her easy a little bit. Make sure my DVR is recording. Sounds so mean, eh? Do some tree surfing. Yeah, Crossfire's the motherfucking shit. Sure. No, that's okay. Pretty sure there's a hole up here. Yep. These fucking motors are beastly.
The entire drone is a fucking beast. Yeah, just mute my voice out.
That's okay. Oh. That was hard. I just hit the side of that building.